All right. So I'm going to basically, we're going to do three things real quick. I'm going to show you a couple of scans that I really like in Metastock. I mean, the official last session of the day is just a Q&A session. So I'm going to show you two scans that I really like in Metastock, some that I use regularly in my trading. And then I'm going to answer any questions that you've got. And then I'm going to go home and play with my kids. So, and it'll be in that order. So hopefully there are a few things that I do want to kind of just mention. These are questions that people ask about the summit. Thank you for coming, by the way. Thank you for all of the great speakers that we've had through the day. If you do have a chance, go ahead and fill out the survey. Tell me how what you would change about the event, what you liked about the event, what you didn't like. I hope you enjoyed it. We put quite a bit of work into getting these off the ground and running, and I enjoy doing them. I'm not complaining. I would do these every week if we could, but also my wife would not put up with that. So if you have questions about Metastock, now would be a good time to do them. I'm going to show you two real quick things that I use all the time. So for those of you that are familiar with Metastock, and this actually ties in really well, it wasn't planned, but with what Ken was saying, or talking about when he talks a little bit about breakout strategies. And it's actually pretty awesome. If you're not familiar with Metastock, for years we've had these indicators that are actually called dynamic trend indicators. So, and what they actually do, if you come into the indicator quick list, they're under DT, and they'll actually automatically draw support and resistance levels on your chart for you. And if I just kind of scroll down here and kind of show you what they are, there's a long-term one, there's a short-term one, there's trend lines up, trend lines down, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm almost down to the Ds. Let's try. So here they are. So there's a longer term resistance, a shorter term resistance. There's automatic versions and manuals of all of them. And there's up and down trend lines. But one of the things that was never really in Metastock, and I would show people how to go ahead and add them to the chart and make a template out of them. And then I'd email templates to people. But one of the things that I thought would be very, very helpful is to actually put together a template that we just include with Metastock now to actually automatically show these support and resistance levels on a chart. So I'm going to go ahead and right click on this chart. Looks like we're looking at the DIA still. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just apply the template here. So there's a template that's now in Metastock that's called Dynamic Trading Tools. And you can apply this either from the Power Console, or you can apply it from right clicking on a chart. I'll go ahead and click on apply. I don't need to save this Dow chart. And now instead of kind of drawing all those levels on the chart by plotting the indicators, you can actually just throw them on a chart by applying the template. Some of the lines are a little bit light. I'm going to kind of fatten them up a little bit just so you can see them, and so I can kind of talk a little bit about what it's doing here. You'll notice we've got a longer term trend line pointing down. It's the only trend line that's founding on the chart here that we're about to hit into. If it keeps going up, it's going to hit into this trend line in a day or two. You've got a longer term support level that kind of is this darker red line. We've got a resistance level over here that's kind of this line right here. And the shorter terms as well, which are just kind of a little bit lighter in color. I like to be able to see these lines on a chart, but more importantly, I want to be able to go in and scan for stocks that are penetrating through these lines. Obviously, you want to find breakouts. A good way to do it is to scan for them. And since all these levels are automatic, if we're looking for kind of this penetration of the trend line down, there's actually a scan in Metastock that we can find this particular stock as soon as it breaks down, or as soon as it breaks up above a support level. And so it's one of my favorite scans in Metastock. We'll just run it real quick. I'm going to go to the Power Console. I'll go back to the scanning utility right here. And it's under actually the DT support and resistance. You can tell I like there are other versions of this one. I always use the support and resistance longer term one. Okay, but if you want to look for trend line breaks and stuff like that, that's the only one I have in my favorites because it's the only one I really use. If you come down here, you can do the shorter term or the breakouts to the long side or the shorter side, whatever you want to do. So I'll just run this. I'll kind of explain the way that the report looks for you. Again, what I want to look for is a stock that's broken a longer term support or resistance level. What I'm going to do here is I've got my local list of stocks, and I'm just going to do real quick all of the optionables. So we'll go ahead and start that as a scan and let it do its thing. If it does do it, let's see, might be getting tired. Okay, here we go. It is getting a little bit tired. It's going to go through about 4,269 optionable stocks right now, and so we'll let that run through. You see it's going pretty quickly. And the idea here is to kind of give us a list of all of the stocks that have recently broken through. A couple questions while we're waiting for this to do. Trey says the presentation today was awesome. I wouldn't change anything. It was great. Thank you, Trey. I'm glad you came. Said Jayet said excellent presentations. Joe says give us a short break in the middle of the presentations. We did that for a little bit. And I don't, the big fear, I was really, really reluctant to do a bit of a short break because I was told by everybody that everybody would leave. We tried it, nobody left, and then for some reason we stopped doing it. So we'll probably kick that in the last time. Katie says, what is the time investment and process for learning the MetaStock platform? I use Thinkorswim now and feel like I only scratch the surface on available tools. Katie, thanks for your interest in MetaStock. I'll say number one. Number two, the way that we set things up are pretty awesome for you. So we give you training. It's a video course you can go through. And if you go through that, you can get up to speed pretty quickly. The boot camp that we'll be doing on February 14, I'll really be going in and answering any questions. But one of the things that Ken mentioned was our support team. And one of the things I like to brag about is we actually have more people in support than we have in sales and marketing put together. So we have a few more programmers than we have support reps, but we offer a really good support team. And one of the things that I should have been saying all day is if you sign up for MetaStock, we'll actually have somebody give you a call, help you get everything installed, make sure everything's configured properly, and help you get in to all of the new tutorials and that kind of stuff. They do a really good job with it. Reg says, in terms of getting up to speed, it depends on how far you want to go, but like just running scans and system tests and getting a really good feel for things shouldn't take you too long. Steve says, Reg said, is there a way to scan for low spread options? There might not, you could, if you had a list of the tickers you wanted and to scan for those, you could. Scott says, great day, Jeff. Gloria says, thank you so much. Missed the morning. Have you recorded? Yes, I hope so. Yeah, we are recording all day. And what we're going to do, we like to go in and put this all up on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/metastock. It takes us quite a few days for our video team to go and edit everything down, make it all nice and pretty, put bumpers on everything, get it coded rightly. And so it'll be like Wednesday or Thursday, but I will email you everybody that registered myself once it's available. Red says, a word of advice, don't do a boot camp on Valentine's Day if you're married. Yeah, I think February 14th is Valentine's Day. If it's February 13th, we might have to move it. Actually, it is during the day either way, though. So, but I want everybody to be able to come. I have a lot of questions. Can I call to go over this? What are the support hours? Okay, so if you have questions today about what we're offering and that kind of stuff, give us a call at 800-882-3040. We've got Edward and Robert. They've been extremely busy, but doing a good job of keeping caught up today. So they can help you with any questions, help you get set up. Our support team works from Monday through Friday from, oh gosh, let's see. Okay, this is done. From, I want to say it's 7 a.m. Eastern to 7 p.m. Eastern. I might be slightly off on those hours, but you can call them, you can chat in with them, and they're very, very happy to help. Support is not farmed out like so many crummy companies. Yeah, Trey, they're all here in the office. Harry says, on your PC, what determines how fast your calculations and scans will go? Well, one of the things that I've done here is actually I'm doing a scan on local data. So I'm taking the internet variables out of the equation because I've already downloaded and stored the data. So the only thing that's what's really gonna dictate it is how complicated it is. This is a bit of a more complicated scan because it's looking and calculating all the support and resistance levels and just your available CPU speed, your RAM, those type of things. If you're doing an online scan and scanning online data, the connection is going to be the biggest factor in how fast it runs. Okay, good question. Rich says that's funny. Good. Xavier says, show us how to search for an iron butterfly. I can't do that. I've never really done that. You might be able to do that in Zenith, but I can look into it if you want to drop me an email, Xavier. Julia says, everything today has been top notch. So glad I came. I'm so glad you came too, Julia. Welcome to the thing. Red says, Alan says, do the time difference. It will be February 14th for some of us. I will record it. And I'm going to assume that you're in Australia or that part of the world, the Asia Pacific part. Trey says, I apologize for my typos. I'll look past your typos, Trey, if you look past mine. And you're welcome. Okay, so let's show you how to read this scan. I'm going to show you one other thing. So basically, this lists about, if it doesn't find a longer term support and resistance, it'll show up in this rejects column. Okay, so we don't need to pay attention to those. But right here, you've got the close price in the very first column, a breakup or a breakdown column, how much it's up, and how much it's down in terms of volume. Okay, so if I just basically sort on this category, I'm going to scroll down just a little bit here. This is the number of bars ago. So I scanned this on a daily basis. This is the number of bars ago that it broke up. So if I wanted to find something that had recently broken down, I'd just scroll down here to the ones or the sevens and the sixes. And I'd have a list of stocks that had recently broken through a major support or a resistance area. So all of these stocks, if I pulled them up, should be breaking out just very recently. Okay. Mark says, thank you for the replay and also the presentation with the minute. You're welcome. Thanks for coming, Mark. The one other thing I was going to show you about Metastock that I like and I use quite frequently is, you always talk, everybody likes to talk about how to buy, you should buy stocks that are in trends or in established trends or those type of things. And to do that, it's actually really easy to do in Metastock. What I'm going to do is there's a couple of performance scans that are in here. And if I wanted to go through a list of securities and just find the ones that were moving up the most, like on a 1 period or a 5 period or a 10 or a 30 or 60 performance day, this performance scan is actually really good for that. Okay, typically what I'm looking for is a little bit longer term with this. And so the actual scan that I run is the performance monthly. I want to find something that's been up for 1 month or maybe even 3 or 6 months. So this is actually the scan I run. Now with this particular one, if you notice, it says important, you must set the exploration to use monthly data to get to the correct results. So what I'm going to do is I'm just basically going to go ahead and click on this performance monthly. Okay, over here I'll select the list. So I want to find all the stocks that have gone up the most last month or the 3 months or the 6 months. And so I'm going to go ahead and change this over to monthly like it told me to. And what I'm going to do is actually do the S&P 500, just so it runs a little bit faster. I'll go ahead and scan this. And we'll go ahead and let it run through all 500 of those instruments. It shouldn't take any time at all. And I'll just show you how I use that to build a list of stocks that are moving, either up or down, okay? And let's go ahead, maybe it's getting tired. It should kick in here. Typically, Teresa asked a really good question, and I'm gonna say this is my opinion, and based on my kind of trading style. So Teresa, take this with a grain of salt. People say, well, why don't you like to look at intraday? And I say very, very frankly, I don't like to look at intraday because generally I'm at work for like 40 or 50 hours a week, right? And then I go home, and depending on the day, I'll have anywhere between 2 to 4 kids at the house, depending on like what day of the week it is. And so generally, I like to see things that have been an established trend about a month or 3 months, maybe even 6 months. But I'm not a fairly active trader, so I like to stay in a trade for at least weeks, at the very least. So. But to see things that are kind of in an established trend, if I wanted to see things that were kind of moving up strongly in the S&P 500, because that's the list we did, I can sort based on this column. And CSRA is up 40%. G is up about 35% over the last 3 months. Insight is about 29%. Celgene is up 24%. Scan is like 22%. United is up 21%. So if I wanted just a list of the top 12 out of here, I'd highlight this and save it as a scan list. And these would be the ones I'd be looking for signals on in a trend. Okay. Okay. Xavier says, Jeff exclusively uses RMO from Metastock as the best trend following system ever invented. It's a great system. I actually, quite a bit of the add-ons that we use today, I quite a bit used to use as well. I really like Steve's pattern, Doji Best Friend and Doji at the top. Those are really, really good patterns. So you're welcome, Scott. I hope it's helpful. He says, thanks for the trading advice. Those are just a couple things that I use out of Metastock. I find that if nobody has Metastock related questions, it's good to show a couple things. This performance is something I started using about a year ago, and I'll go through and build a list of things that are moving every once in a while, probably about quarterly. And that's what it's actually been working really well. So I do want to kind of talk a little bit about the toolbox. Steve Bigelow, CPS, Vince Vora's Veracity, Jeff Tompkins Trade Trend, Don Fishback Odds Compression. Really, if I was to build a list of the add-ons that were the most popular right now, Tompkins just came out, but we have brought on so many new customers. The feedback's been amazing. Vince's Veracity has been very, very well widely received, and people really like it. CPS is the most popular one-time add-on. It's been reviewed in Stocks and Commodities twice. Barbara loved it, and so did Dennis Peterson back in the day. And it's a great set of add-ons. Don Fishback, of course, is focusing on that kind of that compression play. So all 4 of these add-ons, now that we're at the end of the day, you'll notice that the errors are now no longer in the screen. All 4 add-ons would normally be $31.63. You get, as part of the summit special that we're doing at $17.33, gets you 4 of our best add-ons, 2 years of Stocks and Commodities, 3 months access to Metastock RT, which has been rated #1 every single year for like 25 years in a row. The Refinitiv Zenith, which I spent $1 billion on support with 3,000 traders or 3,000 reporters and 300 different news bureaus, offers data for anything in the world. The Unleash the Power of Metastock course, the boot camp that we'll be doing on February 13th. All of that normally would be $4,159. The summit special pricing that we're doing is $17.33. We offer most of that on a money-back guarantee as well. The stuff that's like the data costs are not refundable because we actually pay per user costs. So everything else is refundable. Your risk reward on this is really, really good. We do still have a couple people here, 800-882-3040. Well, you can also visit us online at metastock.com/saleschat. Xavier says, Jeff also uses Vince's Veracity as it measures the slope. I love the calculations we did to measure the slope. We probably did about 25 versions of that, and we found something that works pretty well to kind of measure how much it's gone up. Xavier says, "Will you show us a little bit of trade trend?" So we actually have a presentation with a full 1 hour presentation with Jeff coming up this week. So watch for your. I need to get that on the website, but watch for your email on Monday and Tuesday. We'll be advertising that. So Jeff Tompkins, I can show you. Yeah, I'll show you just a brief overview of it. I hope you enjoyed the hamburger. So with Tompkins, I'm going to go ahead and apply his template real quick. Let's see, trade trend. His is very, very simple. It's designed to kind of boil all of what he's doing down into kind of a very simple view. I like it for the same reasons I like Veracity. The other thing is we showed some system tests when we were going through this earlier, and it works really, really well. Setup will be shown as like a triangle in the chart. You could, of course, run the scans for triangles as well. Here you've got a buy signal, so you had a setup followed by a buy signal. This buy signal will happen within 3 days, or 3 bars if you're using intraday. So this one right here, this setup's no longer valid. It went in a different direction. You'll notice he does a bit of a different color coding of schemes. So when you initially get into a trade, you notice it's really bright green right here where it's kind of tapered off a little bit and goes into a bit of a darker green. What he's indicating is it's not an ideal setup, so he's tightening stops on you to get out a little bit more aggressively than when it's a fresh trade. As the momentum slows down, it's going to go to a darker color. And that only indicates that the stops that are in the commentary that it gives you every day are going to be really a lot tighter than if it's a bright color. He does have a commentary with it. So if we go to view expert commentary, and I just highlight on a buy setup bar, it's going to give you a suggested entry price and a maximum price at which you should take the trade. So if you're looking at this, you can buy it above 231, but you shouldn't buy it above a 238. That's kind of your bracket on where you want to get in. It'll get you an initial stop entry. As you go day by day, here it triggered into a trade. It gives you a stop for tomorrow's trading. Here it's 216.97. And when it goes to that darker blue color, it's just basically saying the market has turned adverse to this position. The stop is very likely to be triggered in the near future. This one includes a system test, and it tests extremely well. So, and the offer on that one is it's normally like $90 per month. And as part of the toolbox, of course, if you just want to try it out, it's a 3-for-1. So you can pay $90 and get it for 3 months. All right, that looks like the end of the questions. Those are the 2 things that covers 3 things I wanted to do. The 2 scans that I wanted to show you, I really like those scans, use them. The Q&A, and now it's time to play with the kids. So, Xavier, no, we still have people here. So if you want to grab Tompkins, give us a call. They'd be happy to add that to you. Add that for you. Thanks for. I know, Xavier, you've been using Metastock for a really long time. I appreciate it, and I appreciate all of your kind thoughts on it. Brett says, "Are you seeing my question?" Brett says, "Okay, I did see your question now." I look up 2 questions, it's right there. I don't need intraday data, but I do watch the markets during the day and place trades. Does DC show the current day's bar and current price during market hours? Not at all. It does have a place where you can right click on it and see kind of like what a current quote is, but it doesn't update at all. Yeah, so sorry I missed that one, Brett. I'm gonna blame the fact that I've been in here for 10 hours. Okay, all right. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up the February 2019 Trader Summit. Thanks for coming, everybody. Fill out the surveys for me. I do read those. It provides me quite a bit of entertainment on Monday, and I do try and kind of incorporate the suggestions. So we will have a couple of guys here to answer questions. You've got 800-882-3040. You can also visit them at metastock.com/sales-chat. And I'll see you at the next webinar.